Hey guys, welcome back to Hike Oregon. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you my top 12 hikes from 2021. If you are new here, welcome. I make hiking and backpacking vlogs as well as gear reviews and just general tips and tricks videos to help you become a more confident hiker and backpacker. If you enjoy content like that, click that red subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. And as always, if you want more content from me, you can support me over on Patreon, where for as little as just $1, you get 2 to 3 extra videos a month. In 2021, I went on a total of 92 hikes, and throughout the year I would write on a little favorites list which ones really stood out to me, and at the end of the year there was 12 hikes on that list. So this is my top 12 hikes of 2021 video. I will start with number 12 and end with my number 1 favorite hike of the year. I hope you enjoy, and let's get into the video.
Golden and Silver Falls are 2 very short hikes totaling in just 3 miles for both, located near Coos Bay. Both hikes start from the same trailhead but go in opposite directions. Silver Falls is 259 feet tall and Golden Falls is 254 feet tall, which makes them the second and third tallest waterfalls in the Oregon Coast Range. When I went in mid-May, there were lots of beautiful wildflowers along both trails. Timothy Lake Loop via Little Crater Lake is the exact length of a half marathon at 13.1 miles and is located near Mount Hood. Little Crater Lake is 45 feet deep and is spring-fed from the bottom via Little Crater Creek. The lake was formed by dissolving limestone, and it is always around 34 degrees Fahrenheit because of its properties of the aquifer that feeds it. After visiting Little Crater Lake, the hike takes you along a magical section of the PCT before splitting off onto Timothy Lake Loop Trail, which takes you around the lake, offering beautiful campsites and gorgeous views of Mount Hood. Shellrock and Serene Lake Loop is a 12-mile loop hike located near Estacada, deep in the heart of the roaring river wilderness. This loop actually has 5 lakes along the trail that you can camp at or fish in. In August, there are huckleberry bushes to enjoy, and along the way there are also great views of Mount Hood and Mount Jefferson. I fell in love with this area because it felt really wild, and on an October weekend, we were the only ones on the trail. The Southern Oregon PCT section hike from Callahan's and Ashland to Hyatt Lake is a total of 25.6 miles long, and it was a section that I had missed during my Oregon PCT hike in 2018. The trail takes you through wildflower meadows, through beautiful forests, and offers views of Mount Shasta to the south. Even though the weather wasn't ideal on this section hike since it was the first week of June, it was a great quick backpacking trip to do early in the season when a lot of the Cascades were still under snow. Fourmile Lake to Badger Lake, Squaw Lake, and the PCT was a 15.5 mile round trip hike. Usually you can drive all the way to Fourmile Lake, but the road was closed 2 miles from the lake, so we hiked in. We ended up seeing a beautiful pond with the most gorgeous reflection of Mount McLaughlin. Because the road was closed, Fourmile Lake, which is usually a busy summer getaway for folks in Southern Oregon, was completely deserted, and we had it all to ourselves. We hiked around the lake to the east and saw more stunning mountain reflections and discovered Badger Lake. Then we hiked around Fourmile Lake to the west and passed Squaw Lake and went up to the Pacific Crest Trail to a little viewpoint. Cliff Lake and Middle Lake are in the heart of the Sky Lakes wilderness, and this was an 11.4 mile hike. The autumn colors in October were absolutely stunning, and both of these lakes have great camping and fishing. This area can be quite popular in the summer months, but in the fall it was pretty empty. We only saw a group of 4 guys who were camped at Cliff Lake and 1 PCT section hiker. The rest of the trail was empty and felt very remote. Lake Harriette is located in the almost unheard of Mountain Lakes wilderness near Klamath Falls. This 12.6 mile hike features wildflower meadows, beautiful forested sections, and 2 lakes. Lake Harriette lies in the most beautiful basin, and one could really spend days here, soaking up the sun, fishing, and swimming. Even though some wildfire smoke started filtering in throughout the day, this was a wonderful hike to a very peaceful place, and we saw no one the entire day. Foley Ridge Ridge is a great way to access the Three Sisters Wilderness. The hike to Husband Lake and back was a long 18.5-mile day, and the wildfire smoke made it a little hard on us and kept us from seeing some of the gorgeous views. Except 2 miles at the beginning of the hike, the entire trail is through the Separation Wildfire burn scar from 2017. There are pockets throughout the hike where it didn't burn as heavily, and here you can find the most delicious huckleberries in August. We saw a huge bear print, so even though you are in a burn scar, there is plenty of wildlife here. Husband Lake was stunning and has a magical view of the mountains from both sides of the lake. Saniam Lake and Craig Lake ended up being a 15.5-mile backpacking excursion. We hiked into Saniam Lake quite early in the season on June 17th and had to navigate sections where snowdrifts were still 5 feet tall. We also had to step over, climb over, or hike around a total of 99 down trees each way. We arrived at Saniam Lake and set up camp and then wanted to do a short side trip to Red Butte, but the trail had so many down trees it was not passable. We watched a stunning sunset at Saniam Lake, and the next day on our hike out, we made the side trip to Craig Lake, a hidden gem on top of a butte. This lake is perfect for swimming, and it has a magical view of Three-Fingered Jack. Castle Lake to Heart Lake is a short 2.4-mile hike located near Mount Shasta in Northern California. We did this hike in mid-May, so there was still some snow. The view from Heart Lake is one of the most breathtaking views I have ever seen in my life, and we sat there for well over an hour just taking it all in. The 40-mile Wallowa Loop I did in August would have been my #1 favorite hike of 2021 had I not gone to the Alps later that summer. In the Wallowas, we saw epic wildflowers, countless lakes, and stunning mountain views. We hiked over passes and even summited Eagle Cap, which is 9,577 feet tall, and the view from there is just insane. I had so much fun swimming in a bunch of the alpine lakes, finding great campsites, and taking it a little bit slower than I usually do on backpacking trips, where I usually try to pack in as many miles into a day as I can. Instead, we spent 4 nights and 5 days doing this loop, and it was one of the most enjoyable backpacking trips I have ever done. Bachalpsee to Hagelseeli in the Swiss Alps was my #1 favorite hike of the year for 2 reasons. One is probably obvious, the scenery. I have never seen mountains this tall in my entire life. Jungfrau and Mönch are over 13,000 feet tall and just tower over the Grindelwald Valley, where we stayed and hiked from. The second reason why this was my absolute favorite hike of 2021 was because I got to share this incredible experience with my dad and little brother, whom I only get to see once every few years. We made our way out of the valley and first came to popular Bachalpsee, which was a beautiful green color, and cows with bells around their necks were grazing and jingling nearby as we ate lunch. Then we made our way to Hagelseeli, a little lake tucked into a basin. On the way there, we saw ibex on the hillside. Hagelseeli was a beautiful turquoise color, and the rock wall on the far side made for some fun echoes. This was a strenuous 13.4-mile hike, and we gained a total of 4,431 feet of elevation. But if you are ever in the Swiss Alps, this is a must-see place, and I would highly recommend camping at Hagelseeli. If you want to know more about any of these hikes, I will link information below this video on where you can find write-ups or other videos. Many of these hikes will be featured in my upcoming hiking guidebook, Lakes of the Cascades, which comes out in May of 2022. Comment below if you have any questions, and I hope all of you had an amazing year. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next adventure.